Heat 1 of the age sow division. 45 is going to win. Sound, functional, maternal-made kind of a sow that has got some width of blades. I think you get in behind her. I think she's got some width at her pin set, carries it to the ground. Really just high-presented kind of a female that brings some strong attributes to the table. Entry 42 is going to go second. Really like her balance, like her eye appeal. You can tell she's a little older sow, but still I think she reads right in terms of her angles. A long cannon kind of a female that's stout in terms of her bone work. Maybe for me where she goes in second, I just like to see her a little bit fresher on the top side of her skeleton, but I think that's being awfully picky when we get to this age sow division, but I think one that's still got some width when you get right in behind her. Entry 43 is going to come third. The all-black sow. I think she's a more moderate, shorter made kind of a female. I think her balance underneath reads really good. She's level in terms of her back. She's a long-hipped female that's probably got the most length and extension ahead of her blade in this particular class. For me, she gets the narrowest in terms of her pin set. She gets the narrowest as she goes away. Maybe like to see a little bit more angles in this video. Maybe like to see her come just a little closer to the camera. But still, I think one that's got nice swoop to her belly. Just need to open her up, make her stouter and wider about her pin set, and for her to carry that to the ground. Entry 44 is going to round out the class. One that just gets too short for me up front. Maybe where her blade sits in her skeleton, like to rock her back there for her to move up any higher. Like to see that one be a shot square as she goes away. Good class. My congratulations to these exhibitors. Age sows, Heat 2, 48 is going to win. Big, soft, pliable, maternal center body found in this sow. She's big in terms of her forearm. I think for just, for her maturity, I still think she reads right in her angles and her skeleton. Like this one to win this class. Entry 46 is going to come next. That's the black and white one on your screen. Maybe for me, I like to see her off of the pavement, more in the grass, because I think that's what beats her. I don't know if it's the way that the asphalt is, if it's just different on her feet. I think if she's on the grass, maybe she plants just a little bit softer, just better in her movement. But still, I think her angles read right. She's big, she's deep-bodied, she's maternal. Just for me, need to pick her up in terms of her tail set. She just wants to get a little rounder out of her rump. The red one's going to come next. That should be entry 47. Length of body, length of hip, really level-backed kind of a female. She's got some extension ahead of her blade. For me, she just closes up too much when you study her coming right at you and when she leaves you. Entry 49 is going to come next. And for me, just one that gets too round off both ends of her skeleton. She's a deep-bodied kind of a female, but after that, she gets too narrow, gets too round off both ends of her skeleton. My compliments to these exhibitors. Age sows, Heat 3, 53 wins. For me on my card, I think one that's just good in her silhouette. She's good in her design. She's nicely balanced. I think she's level-backed. One that just is really good in terms of her underline. I think she's sound. We could probably clean her up a little bit up front, but just for her maturity pattern, I think one that reads really good in terms of her silhouette from the side. Entry 51 is going to come second, and I just like this one. Stoutness is built. I mean, this one is thick-ended. She's hairy, big in terms of her bones. She's got some width. The blade maybe just closes up too much at the ground. Want to fix her right there in the terms of her steepness of rump for her to work up any higher. Entry 50 is going to come third, the red and black gilt, or sow, I think one that we just need to make fresher appearing. She wants to get up in terms of her chine, and I know that she's an age sow. I just like to see that berry just a little bit deeper in terms of her skeleton. Like to pick her up and make her square out of her hip. Entry 52 is going to come fourth, is going to round out the class for me. And, just a finer bone, smaller footed kind of a female. I think one that definitely ties high out of the top side of her shoulder. Longer made, lengthier made kind of a one, but just wants to get too concaved in the base of her forerib. Need to fix her out of her hip and her hind leg. Good class. My compliments to these exhibitors. Age sow, Heat 4, 56. Entry 56 is going to win. silhouette proportional. I think one that's really level back. She's level out of her hip. You can tell by her tail set. Maybe a sow that's maybe not comfortable, but I definitely doesn't think that hinders the way that she gets out and moves. I think her structure's good. It's acceptable for me. Her angles read right up front, nicely balanced, kind of a female to win this particular class. Entry 54 is going to come second. And one that you can just appreciate, this one's length of body, length of spine, length of hip. Maybe you study her out of her hip, maybe one that just wants to get a little steeper out of her rump. But still, I think one that's, still brings some things to the table in terms of her levelness and her structure. Just need to fix her right there in terms of her levelness, her rump. Entry 55 is going to come next, and one that runs uphill, tall-shouldered kind of a female. Just for me, for how much she's got in terms of her center body and up high, she doesn't want to match down low. Little finer boned, finer canned, smaller footed kind of a female. Just need to have a shot more muscle for her to work her way up any higher. Entry 57 is going to round out the class. One that just gets too round off both ends of her skeleton. I like to pick her up in terms of her tail set. Just give her a little bit more width, the blade, and with the center body. I think a gilt that's got some rib shape. I think she's got some turn and shape to the upper part of her rib. Just gets too flat and concave right there in terms of her forerib. Need to pick her up in terms of her tail set. Good class. Congratulations to these exhibitors. Last class of age sows. Entry 58 is going to win. Big, bold-bladed, stout-bladed sow. Level backed. I think she's got some balance. She's got some look from the side. I think she's definitely proportions extremely well. I love her underlying balance in the lower portion of her body. Really nice sow to win the class. Entry 60 is going to come second, and that's the red and black kind of white skulled one. Like her pastern set, like her strength of pasterns. Long-bodied, long kind of a hipped kind of a female. For me, we need to fix her right there in terms of her tail set. I like to have her shot more width as she turns and goes. Entry 59 is going to round out the class. One that just gets too round off both ends of her skeleton. For me, I like to see her take a little longer, more comfortable stride off out of her hip and her hind leg. Good class. My compliments to these exhibitors. We get out here for selection of Grand Champion age sows. Entry 45 is going to be our Grand Champion that comes out of the first heat. I really like this gilt's proportionality or silhouette from the side. I just think one that's presented extremely, extremely well. Balances up from the side. Her silhouette's good. Just her balance is extremely well. She's extremely flexible and athletic, as you can tell in the video. A really good one. I think needs to win this, win the champion age sow division. Reserve is going to be entry 53. That's going to come out of heat number 3. I think just a big maternal made kind of a female. I still think she's good in terms of her structure. I think her angles read right. Maybe you could just make her a shot wider as she comes and goes. Entry 48 is going to round out her top 3. And one that's just really big-bodied, deep-bodied, bold-ribbed one. For me, we need to fix her right out of her hip, bring her up in terms of her tail set. But still, I think one that's got some width. When you get right in behind her, really, really high-quality trio. My congratulations to these exhibitors.